Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report for you. This is Game 6 of the Owl GT. It's a 2,000-point battle. My Ogre Kingdoms versus my opponent's Tomb Kings. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, Tremendous, what do you mean Game 6? Is that a typo? Are you an idiot? What happened in Game 5? Last battle report shows Game 4. That's not how math works. That's not how numbers work. And you are right about some of that. Game 5 didn't happen. And it wasn't my fault. My first opponent that I was teamed up against, he dropped out. So nothing I could do about that one. I got set up by the GT organizer with another opponent. Date, time was set. I messaged him for about an hour the day of, got no response. It got to the point where I reached out to the GT runner and I was like, I got no answer. Here's a screenshot of our conversation. I don't know where the individual is. And he was like, I'm really sorry about that. Some people drop at the end and don't say anything. We're going to 15-5 it and move you on to Game 6. So, sucked. Nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. It is a negative of playing online GTs. But, I mean, people drop out of real ones all the time as well. So, what can you do? I just happened to catch the short straw on this one. So this is Game 6, and I got to play against a really great opponent. I actually met him during the S-Spot 2, Kazandu. He had his Tomb Kings back then, and he whooped my ass. It was a good fight, but yeah, he beat me for sure. So getting to play against him again was really exciting. He's also the individual that invited me to this GT, which was really, really cool. Even though there was only like a few minutes to the deadline, I still got in, had a lot of fun, had a lot of great games, and it's fitting that it ends with me getting the opportunity to whoop his ass. Because yeah, he might be a really good player. He might have a rock solid list. And, you know, he may have precedence with whooping my ass, but just because they're a precedent doesn't mean the history is going to repeat itself. So sit back, relax, and get ready to see the mother effing carnage. Here's my list, and this will be the last time you see this iteration of this list. I still love my ogres. I'm still going to continue playing my ogres, but this is the last game of the Owl GT, so I get to change it. I get to try something new, and I'm really excited about that. But yes, as you well know, I have 980 points of character, starting with my Slaughtermaster at 390. He's my General, level 4 Wizard with Illusion. He's got a Butcher's Cauldron, Grutsickle, the Blood Cleaver, a Potion of Strength, which I've never used because I forget all about it. And then I've got my Hunter at 194 points. He's got Scout. He's got an additional hand weapon, Harpoon Launcher, the Armor Silver and Steel, and the Cathayan Jet Pendant. I also gave him the big name Longstrider because, hey, I need him to be able to run as fast as he can. Last but not least, I have my Bruiser, Lord Tremendous. He's 396 points. He's on a Thunder Tusk. He's my BSB with a Rampaging Banner. He's got the Armor of Meteoric Iron, a Talisman of Protection, and the big name Death Cheater, which I do occasionally remember to use. In core, I'm at 504 points, starting with 2 Saber Tusks. They have the Scout Special Rule, and they're just to attach to the Hunter, give him a little bit of extra wounds, and Swift Strike when he charges, so that's always good too. I've got a brick of 20 Noblar Fighters, which are just batteries. There's nothing special about them, except for they make Grutsickle not hurt as much. And then I've got 3 Naked and Ogre Bulls, because they're a mandatory choice, although that'll probably change in the future, because I'm actually really impressed with how well the Bulls did throughout this tournament. And then I've got a unit of 7 Iron Guts at 333 points, with full command, the Bull standard, and they are veterans. Running on my list at 513 points is my Iron Blaster and 4 Mournfang Cavalry with Banner, Musician, a Cannibal Totem, great weapons, and heavy armor. This list was good to me. It was fun to play with. I learned a ton over the 5 out of 6 games I played, and I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, all in all, good games, good GT, and if they do an Owl GT Part 2, I will definitely sign up. All right, so my opponent for this one, like I've already said, is Kazandu. This is, like I said, Game 6 of the Owl GT. Kazandu is the one that got me into this GT. He's the one that messaged me minutes before the deadline. And dude's awesome. Seriously, he's a phenomenal player. He plays rock-solid lists, and he's very, very good, as you're about to see. So if you get the opportunity to buy this guy a drink and get a game in with him, I highly recommend it. I really enjoy playing our games against each other. He's a lot of fun. I learn a lot, and I know if I'm going to have to pay and fight for every single point that I'm going to get from him. So, anyway, for characters, he's got 921 points, starting with his Tomb King at 461, who's his general, on a Bone Dragon with a shield and a great weapon. He's got the Armor of Ages, a Potion of Toughness, and a Talisman of Protection. Then, of course, he's got a High Priest at 460 points, level 4 Wizard with Illusion, on a Bone Dragon with the Serpent Staff, the Warding Splint, a Lore Familiar, and a Potion of Speed. He's got 537 points in core, starting with 10 skeleton archers with a standard, 3 stalkers, and they're just ambushers, and then, of course, 6 skeleton chariots with a master charioteer unit champion and a standard, as well as the icon of the sacred eye being carried around by the standard bearer. The rest of his choices are pretty symmetrical. In special, he's got 150 points, which consists of 2 Tube Scorpions with the Ambusher special rule. And then in rare, at 390 points, he's got 2 Necro Sphinxes, which never worked for me, but, well, you'll see how they do in this game. So for this last map, it was just a pitch battle, straight up. There was no special rules or anything like that. Just sit down across from your opponent, deploy within 12 inches of your board edge, and whoop the crap out of each other. So I like that. I like the way it doesn't end on anything crazy or fluffy. It's just try to beat the crap out of each other, and that's always the most fun. This is the terrain that we ended up rolling for this one, Quaint Village. Basically, it's got a bunch of difficult and impassable terrain, some woods and hills, no dangerous terrain, which, good or bad. I mean, there wasn't going to be a whole lot in his army that I was going to have to worry about, really. And considering he can resurrect them, that wasn't really going to be a huge advantage anyway. I like this one. It gave me a little bit of blocking ability, and it's going to be a pretty good game. My spells for this one were the Miasma, Spectral Doppelganger, some other one that I'm never going to use, and Glittering Robes. My opponent ended up getting, he uses Illusion as well, Spectral Doppelganger, Column of Crystal, Glittering Robes, and the Miasma. And here's deployment. And before we get into deployment, I want to go over something real quick. Kazandu challenged me. He said he wanted to offer me a moral victory. He said that I wasn't going to be able to kill any of his models. I wasn't going to be able to tithe anything at the end of the game. Not one Tomb King was going to fall, because he took exception to the fact that I keep saying that the unworthy Tomb Kings are the ones that are in my tithe, which I still hold on to and hold strong to this day. The unworthy ones are the ones that I take down and send to Hotep for retraining. So he said I wasn't going to kill any of his models. I wasn't going to be able to kill any of his units. I wasn't going to put anything on the tithe. And I accepted the challenge. And yeah, there's a moral victory on the line here, and I intend to win not only the game, but the moral victory as well. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, here's deployment. And I kind of knew that he had a lot of really hard-hitting units. I mean, the chariots are there's nothing not dangerous on the table with the exception of the archers, and that's why my hunters are going after him. So on the left there, you see my hunter scouted, deployed there with his 2 saber tusks. Towards the center, I've got my bulls. Right next to them is my iron guts. Behind them are my noblars, and I've got the iron blaster in the back, hoping to pick off some chariots. And then on the right, I've got my Mournfang and my bruiser. I'm really hoping to be able to charge something with my Mournfang, because 4d3 impact hits is glorious. For my opponent, obviously his scorpions and his stalkers are off the board. They're going to ambush. On the left side there, our left, his right, are his archers right behind the hill. Towards the center there are his big old brick of chariots, followed by his high priest, 2 Necro Sphinx, and his Tomb King. Pretty sure that's right. I might have it reversed. I don't think so, though. Either way, there's 2 dragons on the table. What more do you want from me? So, as tradition dictates, this is top of turn 1, and I did not go first. That's fine. I no longer expect to go first. If I do, it usually throws me off. And as you can see, he does not hold back. His High Priest gets Glittering Robes off. His Tomb King comes forward. Both the Necro Sphinx and they're all sitting there daring me to charge. His chariots move up to kind of threaten a little bit, but obviously I'm not going to be able to do a whole heck of a lot. And his skeletons just move back a little bit behind the hill. They don't want to get easily charged by the hunter because, hey, there's a moral victory on the line here. That's pretty much it, though, for movement. His archers on his chariots took some pot shots at my Iron Blaster and actually was able to wound. And of course it got through. So my poor Iron Blaster takes a wound right off the bat. At the end of the shooting phase, his chariots have reserve moves, so they Tokyo drift a little bit to look even cooler and look over at my bulls. With that, we go over here to bottom of turn 1, and I go all in. It's a tournament. I've got to charge. Why not? My Mournfang are my powerhouse with the Bruiser right behind him. I thought about trying to charge with the Bruiser into his Tomb King, but I was like, no, I'm going to send the Mournfang in. At a minimum, they should be able to do a decent amount of damage to him. I kind of maneuvered my guy in a way a little bit so that maybe if they were able to beat him down or whatever, he could countercharge, whatever. But I thought I was being clever. I wasn't. The Mortfang do charge into his Tomb King and make it, which was excellent because they had to go through the terrain and everything like that. But they do charge in. All four are in base to base. It's 4d3 impact hits at strength 5, needing 5s to wound. I know I've got to re-roll them, but I'm thinking, around 6 to 7 impact hits, give or take. 24 attacks at strength 5 and 6. Even though I'm re-rolling, I should be able to put 3 or 4 wounds through on his Tomb King and put him in some real bad position. Yeah, it's going to be rough. It's going to be close, but I think this is probably my best bet. And I'm really hoping that with their armor save and their regen, that they can just hold fast. Well, you'll see. My bulls move up to bait the chariots because I want them in the woods because every one is D3 wounds, which is excellent. And then charge into my Iron Guts. I don't care. I'll eat those stupid chariots alive with the Iron Guts. Other than that, though, my hunter moves up to touch the hill to shoot at the archers, and that's really it for movement. Nothing happens in shooting. My cannon does hit the chariot, only one, and I roll a 1 to wound because, the dice gods were letting me know that they were about to bend me over. The hunter, of course, misses because he moved and he's ponderous. They're right in front of him, but he can't hit shit. So we go into combat, and this is terrible. This is just terrible. I know the armor ages makes me reroll wounds, but I was hoping to get like 3 or 4 wounds on him. 9 impact hits, not 1 wounded. 24 attacks from the Ogres and Mornfang combined. 1 wound, actually wounded. After all was said and done, I rolled that bad. And he didn't make a save. That's why he's got a wound on him. In return, he kills a Mornfang. He wins by 5. He's got 8 to my 3. Fuck these dice gods, man. Yeah, I needed, I think, like a 3 or a 4 to stick around. I didn't. Broke like a bitch, even with the reroll. He did chase me and failed to catch me, but it's his turn next. And son of a bitch. Yeah, it's hard to relive. It is. Don't get me wrong. My opponent did nothing wrong. He was actually very cool about the whole thing. We've all been on the wrong side of bad dice rolls. But that takes us over here to top 2. And his general chases my guys off the table. And he actually follows them off the table, right? Well, we look at the rule. He just comes back on during the compulsory moves phase. So he chased them off the table, went off himself. 8th edition said they come on in the next turn. This edition just says they come on at the next compulsory turn. So he's right back on the table. Actually, now that I think about it, if you chase somebody off during your turn, you might come back on the board during their compulsory move phase. Oh, I'm stuck in so much 8th edition nonsense. Anyway, as you can see, the rest of his army just collapses onto mine. The Stalkers come on, and they're looking at the Iron Blaster. The 2 Necrosphinx have flown in to the Iron Guts, and they're going to give him a hard time. The High Priest sees that they don't need to do anything, so they're just kind of laughing. And the Tomb King comes back on the table to threaten the flank of whatever's left. The only other thing that happens is, his chariots charge into the bulls, and one does get blown up by the woods, which is great. One Scorpion ambushes on and threatens my hunter, and the 10 archers in the back there are getting ready to shoot at the hunters. So you'll see how that goes in just a minute. Nothing happens in shooting, so we go right into combat, and believe it or not, my bulls do pretty good. Yeah, one dies, one's almost dead, but you know what? They kill the chariot, and they're not completely obliterated, taking impact hits and everything. I'm super proud of the bulls. In the end, though, they do lose by 3, 6 to 3. I'm still very pleased with how that worked out, considering. But they do end up breaking and actually fleeing, but he pursues. He doesn't get very far. Maybe he doesn't pursue, but either way, he does have to take a dangerous terrain check, and he loses another chariot because he takes 3 wounds, because they take, I think, D3 wounds for dangerous terrain checks. So, yeah, the Woods are probably the most valuable player on my team right now. With that, here's bottom of turn 2, and I don't have any options at all. My bulls fail to rally. There's really nothing smart for me to do, so sometimes crazy's all you got, so I went crazy. I got the Cauldron regen on my Iron Guts. I got Glittering Robes off, so I charged the Iron Guts into the Necrosphinx, hoping against hope that maybe I can do something and actually slam into him. And I know what you're thinking. You have the Potion of Strength on the Slaughtermaster. Did you remember to use it? No, I didn't fucking remember to use it. Not until right now when I'm doing a battle report do I even think about it. Son of a bitch, I'm bad at this game. Oh well. Anyway, my bruiser just kind of turns around the face, hoping that there's something for him to charge next turn. And the Iron Blaster, I thought about moving him like into like going after the chariots or something like that, but fuck it. I was just gonna shoot another cannonball at him and see if I can't take down another one. If the stalkers want to charge me, they can charge me. Then in the back left there, the hunter charged into the archers. They did stand and shoot, but we made it in there without being hurt. So hopefully I can kill some skeleton archers and win this moral victory. That's it for my movement, though. So, once again, nothing happens in shooting. My cannonball fails to wound, which is just fantastic. And there's really nothing else to shoot. I think my bruiser took a pot shot with his pistol, but missed, because of course he did. So, we go into combat, and yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. The Necrosphinx not only destroyed my unit, but ran them down as well. Let me go over it real quick, because it's fucking awesome! So I attack. I actually do 3 wounds total to the Necrosphinx. Not great, but okay. I'll take what I can get. All right, it is what it is. He did make some saves, so that's good. I'm okay with the way this combat went down. I should have remembered my potion of strength, but I'm a moron. He attacks back. His killing blow, he gets a couple of hits. He gets a wound on the Slaughtermaster. Of course, it's a 6. The Slaughtermaster's just dead. There's nothing I can do about it. He's got regen. That's it. So the Slaughtermaster dies instantly. And I think he killed an Iron Gut as well. I'm not 100% on that with stomps or whatever. So he wins combat by enough that I fail. Of course I fail. Even with the BSB right there, of course I fail. And I run Snake Eyes, 2 inches. So Slaughtermaster and the Iron Guts are obliterated in this combat against the Necrosphinx because I apparently deserve this. I don't know what I did, but I think the debt is paid in full. But all of that doesn't matter because here's where I win the game. Moral victory achieved. My hunter and his saber tusks destroy every single archer. It's glorious. I do take a wound for my trouble on one of the saber tusks, which is to be expected. But yeah, here's where Kazandu had to admit a horrendously humiliating defeat at the hand of one combat. Yeah, he threw the gauntlet down. I made it. Everything else is fluff. Everything else is fluff. I'm expecting his lovingly crafted surrender any day now. And just because I didn't want his Tomb Scorpion to have an easy charge on me, I overran. I didn't Swift Strike, but I overran really far and almost went off the table. I mean, I would have been back, but still, that's where he ends up. And I don't bother turning him around or anything because they go back into skirmish, so they got 360. And here's top of turn 3 after movement, and it's going downhill fast. So his High Priest is now completely uncontested and is able to get Miasma Mirage off on my Bruiser, which means he basically can't move, and he gets Glittering Robes off on himself because being bedazzled is beautiful. In the bottom there, you see one of his Necrosphinxes and his Stalkers charge into either flank of my Iron Blaster. Is what it is. And the other Scorpion comes on and looks at my Bruiser. The Chariots and the Scorpion there on the left side and in the center, they kind of look over at the Hunter because they're going to try to deal with him. And that's really it for movement. Nothing happens in shooting, so we go into combat, and honestly, the Iron Blaster doesn't do terrible. He doesn't get obliterated. He just takes a single wound. He does a single wound to the Stalkers, because that's where I put all my attacks, but with a wound, 2 flanks, and 2 close orders, or whatever it is, he wins by a lot to not enough. My opponent doesn't need to pursue, because it's very obvious I'm going off the table, and that's exactly what happens, so he just kind of moves around like this. A little embarrassed, but here's bottom of 3 after movement, and there isn't any. I've got my Bruiser and I've got my Hunter left. My Bruiser really can't move with me as a Mirage, can't march, can't charge, and is at -2 to movement. So he's got and he's in difficult terrain, so he's movement, I think 5 divided by -2 is 3 inches. Where the hell is he gonna go? So there was no reason to move him, and the Hunter's in the same position. He could move, but why? What's he trying to get to? I'm gonna shoot at the Scorpion. That's it for movement. I do pretty good, though, in shooting. The Hunter finally hits. He does 2 wounds to the Scorpion. It's not enough to kill him, but maybe when he charges me, I can stand shoot and finally be rid of him. Maybe I can get 2 units off the board. Ooh, double moral victory. Here's top of 4 after movement. His Scorpion does charge my Hunter. I stand, shoot, and fail. And then over on the right side there, his Tomb King charges my Bruiser, as well as the Scorpion just for combat res. They both make it in no problem, and everything else moves around. But spoiler, the Chariots are going to be raised back up by the High Priest, and the rest of it really doesn't matter. We go straight into combat, and yeah, the dice god strike once again. I attacked. I really did. I threw dice at the scorpion. Couldn't hit or wound, even with the hunter. Nothing. He killed off. He did a wound to my what's it called? To the other guy. He's got a wound and close order. I don't have anything of the sort. He wins by 2. I roll so bad I actually break and flee, and yeah, he pursues. So I'm off the table. It just keeps getting worse. Combat over here, it's more of the same. I'd love to say it was the Armor of Ages that actually slowed me down, but no, I couldn't hit for anything. I couldn't wound. Like, it wasn't because I had to reroll. It was literally the first round. I threw 8 attacks, 4 from the Tusk, 4 from the Bruiser. Didn't hit with any of them. Needing 4s for the most part. I couldn't do it. He didn't up his weapon skill, so yeah, the dice were that bad. In return, though, he did 4 wounds to me, wins combat by 4. Dice gods be merciful. I actually just kind of fell back in good order or gave ground. Either way, I end up right there. He pursues and he catches me no problem, and we're still locked in combat. Here's bottom of 4 after movement, and there just wasn't any. Obviously, we're still in combat. There's really no reason to move around, so we go into combat, and I actually do okay because my opponent flubbed. He does an extra wound to me. I did 1 to him. We both have close order, and I think I regened 1 of my wounds. So he's got 3. I've got 3 because I'm a BSB. It's a stalemate. It's a push. Wow, that's the best I've done all game. Here's turn 5, top of turn 5 anyway. And yeah, as you can see, it's just kind of a bit of a traffic jam. He heals up the rest of his chariots, so I didn't get any points for any of them. And not that I was going to anyway, but I was hoping to get a tithe or 2. But no, he heals all them up, which is exactly what he should do. And the rest of his stuff mainly stays still in the center there and on the left, but his priest and his Necrosphinx just kind of move in the way in order to try to make it so that he doesn't go anywhere in case he loses combat. And that's really it for movement. The only thing left to us is combat, and the Bruiser, before he goes out, he gets the Tomb King up to 5 wounds, but he takes the rest of them and dies. And that's just the way it goes. And there it is. There's the end of the game. I got tabled. This was going to be a rough game. I knew it was going to be a rough game. I was looking forward to it being a rough game, but I didn't think that the dice gods were going to forsake me quite this hard. In the end, obviously, he got over 2,000 points. I think I got 55 to 105 because I think that unit had a banner. He won by over 2,000 points regardless, so he got a 20-0 victory for me. Massive defeat for Lord Tremendous, and that ended up putting me, in total, 13th place overall out of a 42, 43 participant GT. So, okay, not terrible, but not good. Not good. I always try to aim for top 10, but I knew it was going to be uphill battle with the Ogres. I never expected to win any games, honestly, at least not by a lot, so I did a lot better in this tournament than I expected to. Game 5 was a disappointment. I really wish one of my opponents would have shown up, but there's nothing I can do about that. And despite how much whining I've done during this battle report, I really did enjoy this game. I enjoy playing against Kazandu. He was an awesome opponent. At one point, he was like, hey, when this game's over, if you want to play another one, blah, 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 but not unfortunately, I had a date to go to with my wife, so I couldn't tell her, sorry, hun, I want a rematch against this guy because he's super cool. Yeah, that would have been real good for the old marriage there. My point is, dude's awesome. The game was a lot of fun, and the Owl GT was a lot of fun. So definitely looking forward to an Owl GT Part 2 and vengeance against Kazandu. But always remember, because I'm going to say it again, I won the moral victory, and Kazandu can't take that from me. You can take everything else, but not my moral victory. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh my god, Lord Tremendous, you just got your butt kicked. And yeah, I know it looks that way, but like I said in the beginning of the game, the moral victory is mine. Kazandu said that I wasn't going to get any points from whatsoever. I wasn't going to kill any of his models. I wasn't going to be able to add to my tithe or anything. And he challenged me. He said, that's the moral victory. And let's be honest, the moral victory is the important victory. I mean, anybody can win a game. Shoot, I've won games. But a moral victory? Way superior. Way superior. In fact, I might contact the Owl GT runner and be like, hey, technically I won the moral victory. I think I should get more than 0 points. I do. Like I said, he tabled me. I can accept that, but I won the challenge. I mean, all you gotta do is think about it. I got the greater victory. Lord Tremendous came out on top. of the pile of corpses. But I was on top of something, and that's what counts. The Dice Gods hated me this game. I don't know what puppy I ran over, but I know who owned it. John Wick Dice God, because I got my face blasted in this game. My Mornfang slamming into his Tomb King. I would never get a better setup than that. All of them hit. It was D3. I do 9 impact hits. Yeah, I know he had the armor ages, so I had to re-roll them, but damn! I mean, I only needed 5s, and I should have gotten 2 or 3 wounds, right? Like, at least make him roll. If he had just ward saved it, I'd have been thrilled with that. But to only not wound with any of them, that sucked. 24 attacks from the Ogres and the Mornfang mounts themselves. 1 wound. At least it went through, but for crying out loud. Come on! Then they ran off the table with the BSB right there to give them rerolls, and nothing. All of a sudden, I couldn't stop rolling 10s to 12s. I don't know what to do in that situation. There's really nothing you can do. My army fell apart pretty quick after that. Nothing I could do really worked. I tried. I didn't quit. I thought about it. I was a little demoralized, but I needed the moral victory, which I accomplished. And yes, I'm going to bring that up again. I did try, but again, this guy is not an opponent that you can really slip up against. This isn't a guy that you can make a mistake or two and he's not going to super capitalize on it. And he did. He did exactly what he should do. And yeah, when the Dice Gods had me bent over, yeah, he owes me child support. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Not the way I wanted this game to go, obviously. Honestly, and I told him this too, I didn't expect to win. He is a superior opponent. And I'm not trying to, chew on his boots or anything like that. It is what it is. There's better players out there. I'm going to be better than somebody who just started, probably. But this guy's very good. He's very experienced. He comes, to win, and he should. It's a tournament. It's exactly what I expect of my opponents. And he's a very good opponent. I've played him before. He whooped my ass then too. But I wanted it to be a much closer fight. And you know what? If somebody has to table me, it might as well be somebody who's this good. I'm okay with it. But you know what? Even though I got my butt whooped, and I cannot underscore that enough, it was still a great game. We laughed a lot. This was a great tournament overall, and I won the moral victory. That's really all that I'm going to remember from this, because that's what really counts. The Tithe of Bones, admittedly, is a little sparse on this one. I got none of the characters, but I did double the amount of skeleton archers that I have sent to Hotep for retraining, because these are the unworthy Tomb Kings. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, he took a lot of exception to that, but hey, anytime that he wants to bring an army that he thinks they're all worthy in, he's welcome to, because those 10 archers weren't, and that's why they got mulched. And you're welcome. You are welcome. Obviously, I got nothing else, so none of these numbers change whatsoever, and it is what it is. Then, of course, the Demons Under Wars of Chaos. Solid numbers. I'm happy with them. And then I like to just kind of look at the numbers of Chaos Dwarves and Orcs and Goblins that I've killed. The numbers just keep going up, and that makes me happy. And we can just take a minute to appreciate how many humans I have killed and sent to the great King Hotep. Move the High Elves over next to their neglected Dark Elf cousins. No changes here. I just like to look at the numbers. And yeah, here's the Beastman numbers. I probably won't run into them again anytime soon, so these numbers are going to stay the same, and I'm okay with that. It feels good to have them on the board. But that's going to do it for this one. Another battle report in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But as always, thanks!